What's going on, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz, and in today's video I'm going to be covering the top winners and losers for Season 20 of Pokémon GO Battle League. We're also going to be covering the season details, bonuses, and rewards, so if you guys would like to skip ahead to the winners and losers section of this video, there's going to be timestamps down below. Now, as always, these videos do take a long time to make, and they don't usually generate a lot of interest compared to the other content I put out on my channel, so all that I ask is that if you guys do actually find this video helpful at any point in time, please make sure to hit that like button down below. Your support is greatly appreciated so that I can continue to make these types of videos. Anyways, though, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Now, for those of you who made it to rank 20 or higher this season, I do highly recommend dropping a star piece before you actually collect your end of season rewards. Once again, this is going to be on September 3rd at 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, so make sure to mark that in your calendar, set a timer or reminder if you have to, because this is definitely something you do not want to miss. Like, taking advantage of the 1.5 times Stardust bonus with a star piece on these end of season rewards is going to be huge. It's arguably one of the best times to actually drop a star piece in the game. Now, the second thing that you want to do after the new season starts is you want to go straight to the shop and claim the free timed research pass. There are going to be 10 rewards per page, actually giving you a ton of Stardust, so I would highly recommend stacking the Stardust rewards and then holding on to it for the next time you drop a start piece. Now, on top of that, you're also going to get an elite fast team if you make it to 400 wins, and you're going to get an elite charge team if you make it to 500 wins. This timed research is only available for the first few weeks at the start of the season, so if you guys don't actually redeem it, you won't get the chance to grab it later on, which means you're going to miss out on a ton of free Stardust. If you can't actually manage to get to 400 or even 500 wins for those free elite TMs, there is going to be another way to get them during this season. It's basically the bare minimum that I always recommend. You basically just want to make it to rank 20, which is entirely win-based, so it doesn't even matter how many times you lose. Once you make it to rank 19, you're going to get an elite charge TM on the spot, and then at the end of the season, you're also going to get an elite fast TM. So I highly recommend getting to rank 20 before Go Battle Weekend, which is going to be taking place on November 2nd and November 3rd. So basically, what is Go Battle Weekend? So instead of the maximum 5 sets a day that you normally get, which would be 25 battles, you're actually going to get 20 sets per day, which is 100 battles. Now, you're also going to get 4 times Stardust from the win rewards. And again, you should ideally be at rank 20 at this point to maximize these Stardust gains. Now, during Go Battle Weekend, we're also going to be getting a free timed research, which is going to award you another elite TM as well, so that's pretty cool. And the IV floor from Go Battle League encounters is also going to be removed. Now, the active leagues available during Go Battle Weekend is going to be Great League, Ultra League, and Master League, which is pretty awesome. I'm happy to see that Niantic actually continued to do this from the previous season. What really sucks is when they actually make it Catch Cup instead. So thankfully, we have all open league formats. Whatever you guys actually really enjoy doing the most, you can go ahead and do that during this weekend. Now, during Go Battle Day, we're also going to be getting a paid timed research for $1. So this is going to get you 30,000 Stardust, 3 rare candy, and 1 start piece. In my opinion, guys, this is definitely worth it alone for just a star piece and that Stardust. If you drop a star piece with that Stardust, you're going to get 45,000 Stardust. Not to mention, you can also stack this with the timed research pass Stardust reward, so yeah, you can really maximize that star piece just from that alone. I typically like to go with the 1-4 strategy on Go Battle Days to really maximize the Stardust, because I don't have enough time to do 100 battles every single day. If I was grinding for Legend, that might be a different story, but since I'm mainly just focused on Stardust, and I think a lot of you guys are as well, that's pretty much what I would recommend. So basically, just win 1 match, lose 4 matches, rinse and repeat as many times as you can on a star piece, and you're going to get so much Stardust. Even if you don't like Go Battle League, I think this is definitely worth the time and effort for the amount of Stardust you're going to be getting. Next up, let's take a look at the guaranteed rank up encounters, and then we'll go over the regular rank encounters. So pretty much once you make it to these ranks, you're going to get an encounter with these Pokemon. So basically, after you make it to rank 1, the next encounter is going to be Galarian Mask. After rank 6, it's going to be Haunter. After Ace rank, it's going to be Jangmo-O. After Veteran rank, it's going to be Dragonite. After Expert rank, it's going to be Frigibax. And after Legend rank, it's going to be Pikachu Libre, which does have a chance to be shiny. It is one of the rarest shinies to get in the game, so if you are able to make it to Legend rank alone, you do have a chance to get that elusive Pikachu Libre shiny. So those are going to be the guaranteed rank up encounters. But now let's go through these standard encounters you're going to unlock once you make it past these rankings. So after rank 1, you're going to get access to Machop, Wobbuffet, Mienfoo, Skwovet, and Wooloo. After rank 6, you're going to get access to Frillish and Carbink. After rank 11, you're going to get access to Scraggy, Galarian Stunfisk, Phantump, and Phalanx. After rank 16, you're going to get access to Hisuian Sneasel, Rainidos, Shieldon, and then once you make it to rank 20, you're going to start getting access to potential legendary Pokemon. Last season, I was actually able to get an encounter with Thundurus in its incarnate form, which was actually a shiny Pokemon. So yeah, you can actually get shiny legendaries from doing GBL. To be fair though, it is going to be a really rare encounter to get a legendary Pokemon, let alone a shiny legendary. Continuing on though, after Ace rank, you're going to get access to Jangmo-O. After Veteran rank, you're going to get access to Dratini, and then after Expert rank, you're going to get access to Frigibax. Next up, let's take a look at the exclusive trainer pose, which is going to be for Alistair, the Ghost-type gym leader of the Stow-on-Side Stadium. Around 10 seasons ago, we were actually able to get the B trainer pose plus outfit, so it's pretty cool to see that we're actually going to be able to get its counterpart now. So at Ace rank, you're going to unlock Alistair's shoes. At Veteran rank, you're going to unlock his mask. At Expert rank, you're going to unlock his outfit. And then finally, at Legend, you're going to unlock the exclusive trainer pose. I'm not going to lie, I might be motivated to push for Veteran this season reason, because that mask is really cool. Now with that being said, those are all the event details, bonuses, and rewards I wanted to go over in this video. If you guys do want to check out the Go Battle League schedule for this season, or the special cups that are going to be available along with their restrictions and exclusions, you guys can go to the Pokemon Go Live website, which is going to be linked in the description down below. But now let's actually take a look at the new moves and updates and which Pokemon are going to benefit the most from these changes. So for this video, I thought it'd be really helpful to do a side-by-side comparison. That way you guys can see the rankings before and after in terms of what they look like. So on the left side, you're going to have before, and then on the right side, you're going to have after with the current move updates. As always, huge shout out to PvPoke for putting these rankings together. Very much appreciated. So first up, let's go over the biggest winners, starting off with the Swift update. So basically for Clefable, it went from 167 to rank 10, which is pretty damn good. Now there were two reasons for this, Fairy Wind and then also Swift. So it was a combination of both of those two moves. But if we actually take a look at Ursaring, for example, we can see that it went from rank 325 to rank 44, and the only noticeable difference was Swift. So that was a really big update for Ursaring. I think that had more to do with the fact that it's a normal type Pokemon, whereas for Clefable, I think Fairy Wind had more of an influence on it. Next up, let's take a look at Metal Claw, which actually had its energy generation increased. So the only Pokemon that really benefited from this is going to be Empoleon. Taking a look at this though, it kind of seems like Empoleon got nerfed. So why exactly did that happen? Well, the reason for that is because Steel Wing actually got nerfed. The energy generation was decreased on that moveset. So basically what this did is that it prevented Empoleon from getting kicked out of the meta, but as you can tell, it's definitely a lot worse than it once was. Next up, let's take a look at Psywave, which had its energy generation increased. So the only Pokemon that actually benefited from this buff is going to be Malamar. This went from rank 390 to rank 12, so it's now one of the top meta picks to actually go with moving forward. This Pokemon has actually never been this meta relevant before, so if you guys have been holding on to one, then this is definitely going to be the time to build it. Following that, let's take a look at the Fire Spin buff. This went from 10 to 11 power, so there were two Pokemon that really benefited from this, Alolan Marowak and Ninetales. So Shadow Alolan Marowak went from rank 115 to rank 35, and then regular Alolan Marowak went from rank 131 to 64. It was a pretty nice upgrade. And then taking a look at Ninetales, this Pokemon went from rank 176 to 133, and then Shadow Ninetales went from rank 240 to 169. The big winner here was going to be Alolan Marowak. Following that, for Trailblaze's energy cost was decreased, so the only Pokemon that actually benefited from this buff was going to be Donphan. Shadow Donphan went from rank 363 to rank 63, so it moved up 300 rankings, and then regular Donphan went from 382 to 97. Now you might be wondering though, that can't be the only reason that Donphan got boosted this much, right? Like 300 rankings just off Trailblaze, that doesn't make sense. Well, you're right. So Mudslap also got buffed, but Body Slam also got nerfed. So in a way, there's a lot going on here with Donphan, but Mudslap was probably one of the biggest updates for it. I think that had a lot more to do with it actually becoming more meta relevant opposed to Trailblaze, but that was definitely a small boost as well. Following that, let's go over the Astonish buff, which went from 9 power to 12 power. A very big upgrade for a fast move. So as you guys can see on screen right now, Shadow Dusknoir was actually the one that benefited the most from this buff. It went from rank 732 to rank 66. And the regular went from rank 673 to 84. A massive freaking upgrade, guys, for Dusknoir. Now, that wasn't the only thing as well. It also got access to a Shadow Punch buff, which was really big. This went from 40 power to 55 power. So, I mean, combining those two upgrades together, Shadow Dusknoir and just regular Dusknoir is one of the top meta picks now. The other Pokemon that did benefit from the Astonish buff, though, is going to be Shadow Driftblim. It was a little bit more difficult to see on Shadow Dusknoir because it had two buffs, but for Shadow Driftblim, it only had the Astonish buff. So this Pokemon went from rank 269 to 137 on the Shadow, and then from the regular went from rank 342 to 122. So a very, very nice buff for Driftblim. Next up, let's go over the Fairy Wind buff, which went from 3 power to 4 power. We kind of talked about this earlier with Clefable, but now we can go over the other Pokemon that it benefited. So one of the biggest jumps, I think, was for Jumpluff, which went from rank 118 to 21, and the Shadow went from 121 to 17. Galarian Weezing also benefited from this buff as well, going from rank 139 to rank 38, so it was still pretty good before, but now it's just even better. And then we also have Florges, which went from rank 169 to rank 40, and then Togetic, I know, unexpected, right? Togetic actually got access to Fairy Wind and went from rank 178 to 82. Whimsicott also got a small buff as well, going from rank 76 to 55. Following that, let's take a look at the Karate Chop buff, which got an energy generation increase. So this was a massive game changer, guys. Pangoro was actually one of the best Pokemon to build now as a fighting type attacker for the Open Great League. Not to mention, every other Pokemon that has access to Karate Chop also requires a legacy moveset, which is kind of unfortunate. Taking a look at some of the other rankings though, we have Shadow Machamp, which went from rank 44 to rank 11, regular Machamp, which went from 63 to 22, Shadow Machoke went from rank 194 to 26, regular Machoke went from rank 180 to 79, Primeape went from rank 200 to 112, and then regular Machop actually went from rank 524 to 164 because of Karate Chop. Now what's actually interesting about this Machop is that it's going to be the purified version of it because you want to have Cross Chop plus Return. This is actually going to be very conflicting for some people because if they were able to get a really good IV Machop, they might want to use the Shadow Machamp as a fighting type attacker for the Raid/Gym meta. But in the case of PvP, actually purifying that Machop to get the Hundo and then maxing it out to level 50, with Return and Cross Chop, this is actually a pretty good Pokemon to have for the fighting type category in the Great League meta. Although to be honest, you do have much better options like Pangoro, Machamp, Machoke, so I would probably go with those options over purifying a Shadow Machop to get the Hundo and just use it as more of a spice pick. But it's totally up to you. If you guys have the extras, then yeah, Machop is definitely on the table now. And then we do actually have one more Pokemon that benefited from this buff that is going to be specifically Shadow Magmar, which went from rank 478 to 167. Next up, let's go over the Bone Club buff. This one from 40 power to 55 power. So the main two Pokemon that benefited from this are going to be Shadow Alola Marowak and then regular Marowak. So regular Marowak actually got the biggest increase from this buff, and that is going to take it from rank 278 as a Shadow to rank 15, and then 397 as a regular variant to rank 29. So yeah, Marowak is actually one of the best Pokemon to use now because it actually got access to two buffs. The Mudslap buff from 11 to 12 power, and then the Bone Club buff from 40 power to 55 power. We are going to talk about Mudslap here in just a second because there are a few other Pokemon I want to go over, but yeah, that was one of the biggest reasons why Marowak actually got buffed so much. Now another really crazy buff was actually Poison Sting, which went from 3 power to 4 power. It doesn't really seem like a lot, but this made a big difference for some of these poison type attackers. So for Clodsire, this Pokemon was already relevant at rank 18, but now it's actually the #1 best Pokemon to power up for the Open Great League. We also have Shadow Drapion going from rank 128 to rank 20, the regular going from 179 to 39. So basically the entire Qwilfish line got a buff, including the evolution. And then for Ariados, this Pokemon went from rank 282 to rank 99. And then finally we have Shadow Nidorina, which is going to be an extra large candy build, going from rank 263 as a Shadow to 107. And then for the regular, going from 479 to rank 125. So at this point in time, Nidorina is going to be better than Nidoqueen, its final evolution. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. Rollout is going to be next, going from 5 power to 8 power. This is going to be a nice buff. So the biggest Pokemon that got buffed was going to be Dunsparce, going from rank 168 to rank 6. Following that, we also have Licky going from rank 267 to 18, which actually makes it better than Lickitung now, which is pretty crazy because that was like the preferred option to go for in the Open Great League. It's still meta relevant, but just not as good now compared to Licky, its evolution. And then finally, we have Meltank going from rank 171 to rank 50. Personally speaking, this is really cool to see as a Gen 2 fan because Whitney had a Meltank that used Rollout that pretty much one-shot all of our Pokemon constantly until we just continued to level up. So yeah, Meltank being relevant in Great League, this is a really cool callback. I really doubt it was intentional, but as a Gen 2 lover, this is pretty cool to see. Following that, we have Sucker Punch, which went from 5 power to 8 power, very similar to Rollout. So this was a really good buff for some Pokemon, specifically Galarian Moltres. This went from rank 274 to rank 69. So yeah, a Galarian bird is actually meta relevant now in the Open Great League. For some of you guys out there, this might be amazing to hear, considering that you may have used your Master Ball on it. We also have Lokix going from rank 396 to rank 101. We have Spiritomb going from rank 619 to rank 123, which is pretty crazy. We also have Furfrou going from rank 210 to 157, not that much of a change there. And then we have Furret going from rank 462 to 180. So again, not that much of a change there either for Furret, but definitely a big increase compared to where they were last season. Since we already went over Shadow Dusknoir, we're just going to go over the other Pokemon instead. So Shadow Golurk and then regular Golurk were the ones that benefited the most from this. Of course, they were also combined with the Mudslap boost, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But yeah, this Pokemon is arguably one of the biggest winners for the ghost type category. So if you guys were able to get this from Team Go Rocket Grunts and you got a good IV spread and you remove frustration on it, you were going to have a great time during the Great League rotation during this season. Gengar also got a nice buff as well with the Shadow Punch. This is going to be a Legacy Comday moveset on it. So again, if you guys don't have it, that is okay. There are other options you can go with. This went from rank 226 to 100 on the Shadow, then 251 to 161 on the regular. Now, Shadow Golett, the pre-evolution for Shadow Golurk, is actually going to be a really good Pokemon to build as well. Typically, whenever we get a good move update, we do see this with the base stage forms. In this case, that is going to be Golett, so it has access to Mud Slap plus Shadow Punch, 2 moves that got incredibly buffed during this season. So yeah, you could technically build one, a level 50 for the Open Great League if you really wanted to have something spicy, kind of like Machop we mentioned earlier. Now with that being said, we can finally go over what is arguably one of the best buffs during this season, which is going to be for Mud Slap, going from 11 to 12 power, but not only that, it also got his energy generation increased as well. So Gastrodon was the one that benefited the most from this, going from rank 158 to rank 5. Yeah, it's in the top 10 now because of Mud Slap. Even though Body Slam did get nerfed, it is still going to dominate the meta because of Mud Slap. And we pretty much went over all the other Pokemon as well, like Marowak, Golurk, Donphan. We didn't actually go over Alolan Dugtrio though, so that Pokemon is actually going to be meta relevant now, which I never thought I would ever say. Like, Dugtrio being meta relevant in the Great League, that's pretty crazy to me. To be fair, it is not super meta relevant, but being in like the top 150 is pretty crazy for a Dugtrio. So with that being said, those are going to be our biggest winners for this season in GBL, but now let's actually take a look at the biggest losers. So to start things off for our biggest losers, we'll go over the counter nerf, which had its energy generation decreased. So unfortunately, the biggest nerf was going to be to Annihilape, which went from rank 3 to rank 151. Medicham also suffered from this, going from rank 21 to rank 121, so losing 100 rankings there. Vigoroth actually suffered the most, I take that back. So this went from rank 30 to rank 358. Shadow Poliwrath and regular Poliwrath also went down a significant amount as well. They are now going to be at rank 127 and 184 respectively. Regular Deoxys went down to rank 241. Purified Wobbuffet, which I'm really sad to see, went from rank 90 to 339. And then finally, Scrafty went from rank 95 to 176. So all around, guys, every single Pokemon that use counter, most of them did get nerfed pretty hard. Like, they're not even within the top 100 anymore. The best ones you can probably still use are going to be Annihilape, Medicham, Poliwrath, and then I want to say maybe Scrafty, but even then, guys, you probably don't even want to use that Pokemon anymore. It does suck because Scrafty was one of my favorite Pokemon to use. You know, counter plus power up punch was a deadly combo. The same can be said for Medicham, but that Pokemon is still usable. So if you want to run a counter plus power up punch combo, you can definitely go with that Pokemon still. So basically the same thing for Wing Attack. It had its energy generation decreased. So Mantine went from rank 5, rank 5, to rank 224. Shadow Gligar and regular Gligar went from rank 9 and 19 respectively to rank 134 and rank 148. So going from the top 20 to like the top 150, that's a pretty big jump. Pelipper went from rank 22 to rank 208. Pidgeot went from rank 35 to rank 391. And then Shadow Pidgeot went all the way to 460. So Pidgeot went from being one of the best Pokemon to build to being one of the worst Pokemon to build. And I'm really sad for my boy because I love Pidgeot, but damn, this is brutal. We are not done yet though. Shadow Golbat went from rank 41 to 371. And then regular Golbat went from rank 80 to rank 432. So yeah, Wing Attack was, wow, this was nerfed pretty hard, guys. And then finally, we have Gliscor, the evolution of Gligar, going from rank 86 to 238, and the Shadow variant going from rank 101 to 290. So all around, guys, Wing Attack getting nerfed did a lot of damage. Like, nothing is even remotely good anymore as a flying type attacker. The only Pokemon that is even kinda good still is going to be Gligar and Shadow Gligar. Now, we went over Empoleon earlier, but we didn't go over Skarmory. So this Pokemon was also affected by the Steel Wing nerf. Same thing, the energy generation was decreased on it, so this Pokemon went from rank 4 and rank 29 as a Shadow to rank 117 and rank 242 as a Shadow. A pretty big drop for it, unfortunately. Now with that being said, that wasn't the only thing for Skarmory. Technically this was kind of like a benefit and a nerf at the same time, so Sky Attack actually got buffed from 75 power to 85 power, but the energy cost was increased on it. There were two Pokemon that got hit pretty hard by this. The first one is going to be Altaria, going from rank 77 to rank 195, and the second is going to be Noctowl, going from rank 137 to rank 423. Niantic was not kind to flyers this season. They pretty much got eliminated from the meta. Next up, let's go over these Surf changes. So this one also had a buff and a nerf at the same time. It went from 65 power to 75 power, so that's going to be a buff. But the energy cost was also increased, so that's going to be a nerf. So Jellicent and Tapu Fini were the ones that were most affected by this. Jellicent went from rank 38 to rank 171, and then Tapu Fini went from rank 75 to 178. Now in regards to the Body Slam nerf, this one actually went from 60 power to 50 power. The biggest nerf that I saw was going to be for Cetitan, going from rank 66 to rank 203. The other Pokemon that got hit by it was Lickitung, I believe going from rank 10 to rank 60. So it went down a little bit, but not significantly, where like you can totally still use Lickitung if you want to, although Licky is going to be a better option. Now there were a lot of other Pokemon that got hit with Body Slam, but they also had other moves that kind of kept them relevant, like for example, Donphan got hit with the Body Slam nerf, but also had access to the Mud Slap buff plus the Trailblaze buff. Now for Mudshot, this moveset got a buff going from 3 power to 4 power, but at the same time it also got a nerf, being the energy generation was decreased. So the biggest Pokemon that got affected by this in the Open Great League is going to be Galarian Stunfisk, going from rank 24 to rank 77. The next nerf is going to be for Dig, going from 80 power to 70 power. So for Gligar, it technically got a double nerf, both Wing Attack as well as Dig. Although to be honest, I don't think Dig getting nerfed was that big of a deal. At least not compared to Wing Attack, that is. Now Rockslide also got nerfed, going from 75 power to 65 power. You would think that Carbink would actually get nerfed, but it's pretty much still the same. So yeah, still number 2, didn't even change at all. But one of the biggest nerfs was actually going to be to Vigoroth. So this actually got hit with 3 nerfs: Counter, Body Slam, and Rock Slide. Nothing good came for this Pokemon during this season. It really was one of the biggest losers. Now Smackdown also got nerfed from 12 power to 11 power, but basically the same thing as Carbink. Like Bastiodon barely moved at all. It went from like rank 8 to rank 9, and the Shadow went from like rank 15 to rank 32. Not that much of a difference here, so Bastion's still very much meta relevant despite the nerf. Future Sight also got nerfed, going from 120 power to 110 power. The only Pokemon that was actually affected by this was going to be Cresselia. So basically for Cresselia, it didn't really go down that much. It went from rank 23 as a regular to rank 61, and then as a Shadow going from rank 62 to rank 91. Not that big of a difference. Now with that being said, that doesn't mean that you can't go with Future Sight still. Like it barely got nerfed, guys. Like 120 to 110 power isn't like that much of a difference, but it's enough to bring Cresselia down in the rankings a little bit. And then finally, one of the biggest nerfs we actually have is going to be the Zap Cannon, getting the chance to decrease the opponent's attack by 1 stage being decreased. So pretty much what this did is that it dethroned Registeel just a little bit. Like it went from rank 1 to rank 22, and the Shadow went from rank 51 to rank 96. So not a big difference there. Like it's still going to be very much playable, but at the same time, Registeel was number 1 for a long time, so this kind of had it coming. So with that being said, looking at the top 10 rankings now, they are going to be a little bit different. Carbink basically stayed the same. Clodsire is boosted up a little bit more. Feraligatr is up a little bit more than it used to be. Gastrodon got a major buff. Dunsparce got a pretty good buff. Mandibuzz got a small buff, kind of getting up to the top there. It was already pretty relevant before. Pangoro was a really good buff with Karate Chop. Bastiodon barely changed. Clefable getting a really nice buff with Fairy Wind. Shadow Machamp, same thing as well, like a small buff there. Malamar getting a really big buff. Quagsire kind of going up a little bit. Azumarill not so much. Marowak, very big buff. Toxapex not so much. Jumpluff, a very nice buff. Licky getting a pretty good buff as well, you know, even dethroning regular Lickitung. Gallade into the Shadow form, not that much. Reggie's still going down a little bit. Aurorus actually went up a little bit as well, despite not actually having any move changes, which is pretty cool to see. Same thing with Diggersby. Golurk was a really big buff as well, and then what else do we have here? Shadow Alola Marowak, another really good one to see. Galarian Weezing was a pretty big buff. Florges with Fairy Wind getting the buff there was pretty good. Guzzlord actually went down with Brutal Swing. Ursaring got a nice buff. Superior basically stayed the same. Wishcast the same. Miltank got a buff with Rollout. Wigglytuff got a buff with Swift. What else do we have here? Goodra didn't really do that much for it. Lickitung went down, Cresselia went down, Donphan went up a ton because of Mud Slap and Trailblaze, despite the Body Slam nerf. Lantern didn't really go down that much with Surf, to be honest. It's still pretty meta relevant. Alola Marowak doing really good now with Fire Spin and Bone Club both getting buffed. Galarian Moltres getting a nice buff in the meta for once. Actually really cool to see that Pokemon become meta relevant. Did not expect it. Galarian Stunfisk going down a little. Machoke getting buffed as well with Karate Chop plus Cross Chop, although the Shadow version is actually much better to run opposed to the regular version. Talonflame basically stayed the same. That's actually cool to see because the World Championship did actually give us the chance to get this Pokemon with Incinerate. So hopefully some of you guys were able to do that. Dusknoir got a very nice buff. And I think that's pretty much it in terms of the top 100. Like I could keep going down here, but that would just take forever. So with that being said, that pretty much covers all the attack availability updates and move changes. We're also going to get the switch timer being reduced from 60 seconds to 50 seconds. I kind of wanted to talk about this earlier, but I didn't think it was like that important. It's kind of something you're just going to have to feel out as you go through these PvP battles moving forward. This is a very good change in my opinion, and combined with all the other move updates, I think we're going to have a completely different meta to look forward to in GBL, so whether you're a newer player or a veteran player, this is going to be fun either way. Anyways guys, with that being said, that's pretty much everything I have for you in this video. If you do want to check out the best Pokemon to power up for the Great League, then you guys can watch this video right here.